In this video, I'll be showing how to use the Kismet REST API with examples. This is a list of the requests that I'll be demonstrating, and I'll be finalizing the presentation with preparing Elasticsearch for Kismet data. Let's begin with authenticating and obtaining cookie. I'll move over to the collection, Introduction to Kismet Wireless REST API, and every Kismet REST API call needs a cookie header in order for the Kismet wireless sensor to accept the request. So the first request we should make is to ask for that cookie. And to get that cookie, we're going to use a username and password that we set in the Kismet wireless environment when you installed it. The first time you connected to your Kismet wireless environment, you had to set up a username and password. Those are the username and password that we're going to put here, and we're going to send that request to the server. We're going to get a response of valid session, but inside of the response headers there's going to be a set cookie, so we have to grab that. And so here I'm using the tests tab in Postman, which runs after the request is made, and I'm going to grab this value in the header, set cookie. And what I'm going to do is basically parse that information. I'm going to parse it out by semicolon and the equal sign to just grab the one value that I need, and I'm going to put that in Kismet cookie. So, and that's up here in the environment variable where I've just set this Kismet cookie. So this is going to stay with me throughout this session. So now I can use the Kismet cookie in my other requests. So I can close this one and go over to system, and let's obtain Kismet system status. There's a lot of high-level information here. We're still not getting to the devices. We're just working on the device, the laptop in my case, that's running Kismet. And here we have the different temperatures on different parts of the laptop. And the other thing I'm interested in, it's all the way at the bottom. This is the timestamps, whether the battery's charging or not, how much memory, what user actually turned on Kismet, and so on. So kind of a quick healthy check. Not much else to do here. Maybe you write a script to check the temperatures are within certain limits if you're going to be putting this device inside of a trunk of a car, or if it's going to be outside somewhere and it's going to get too hot or too cold, and so on. When I was looking for where the logs were, I had logged in. I forgot where I had set it to set the logs. I wanted to get a quick check. And of course you can look at the Kismet configuration files, but it'd be nice to know remotely, especially when you have 6 or 7 of these Kismet sensors running. You can actually run this query. And again, remember, you have the cookie set in the header. I forgot to cover that one up here, but it's the same thing. You have a header that's called cookie, and then it has Kismet equals Kismet cookie. I'm going to send this, and I get back the path on that device, on this computer with IP address 173. So this Kismet sensor is storing its logs in there. So it's pretty cool. What time is it on the sensor? So we can ask by specifying that URL again with the header, cookie Kismet equals Kismet cookie, and this is grabbing the value from the Postman environment. I'm going to hit send, and we just get a basic time, which could be good if you're running multiple sensors. You maybe want to have the time synced up across all the different devices. You just want to check. So this is one of those ways to check that devices are synced up, or at least very close to each other. Next, we're going to set the password of the Kismet wireless sensor, and that kind of looks like this. We're going to do a form data, and username equals username, password equals password. We're going to maintain our header cookie, and we're going to hit send, and we get login changed. Pretty straightforward, pretty simple. way to change your passwords. Again, if you have multiple devices, it makes it convenient not having to log in to each one individually. Say you're, I don't know, driving your laptop around and you don't want to be looking at your laptop while you're driving, which is probably a good idea. But you see something of interest when you're driving that you want to ask the Kismet wireless sensor to kind of take a snapshot of what's going on at that moment. And so you can set up a little script on your phone, on the Kismet sensor, share it out as a website, and then on your phone, this is what I did. I just put a big button. It's just a website hitting the Kismet laptop, and it's just a huge button that says snapshot. So as I'm driving, if I see something of interest, I just tap on snapshot, and that just makes a call to this point of interest, create point of interest command, and this is kind of what it looks like. And then I put a little note in there, watching the watchers, and point of interest created. So now in the database, there's a snapshot for what was going on at that particular moment. I'll explain more about this in a future presentation of why I did this watching the watchers note. Okay, next, I'll actually clean this up a little bit. Okay. Let's go over to devices. Now we get into, you're back either home, the home base, or you just want a remote machine to retrieve all the devices. And in this case, you want to maybe dump them into Elasticsearch. So I go ahead and make this call. I have a post-execution test that I'm doing, basically collecting all the information, and I'm going to send it to an Elasticsearch server. Let's go ahead and run that. There's about 2,500 devices viewed as of this morning. I restarted my Kismet server about 2 hours ago, and it's collected about 2,500 devices just here at my home. Yeah, so it's retrieving all that information. It's formatting it nice and pretty here, but what it did inside of this post-execution script, it grabbed the information, it created the Elasticsearch bulk formatted file, and then it uploaded it. It sent it to my Elasticsearch system. Okay, that's about that. That's about it for that. Let's say I only wanted to retrieve access points. This script, download all devices, downloads everything. My Kismet wireless is also watching ADSB, so watching the airplanes going over my house. But maybe I don't care about all the individual devices. I just want the access points. So here I'm gonna just run the only retrieve the 802.11 access points, and here's the call, which I really need to change. I need to remove that. Yeah, I didn't need the username and password there, and then hit send. So it's still big. Here we go. Alright, so here's all the access points in my neighborhood. And it's formatting it. Let's just make text. We can get one per line. And we have 102 access points in the last 2 hours. So again, you can do the similar thing as the download all and upload it to a Elasticsearch system, or just format it however you want, or look for certain, put some filters in, looking for certain access points, or whatever. But there's the command right there. And yeah, so let's go on to the next one. This one's interesting. Say you have a particular access point that you are interested in, knowing all the devices that attach to that particular access point. So you run this command, the access points command, grab the device key for your access point of interest, and then run this client's request with that device key filter. And what you get is that one access point and all the associated clients. So that's pretty neat. Let me change that to text. And here's all the devices that are attaching to that one wireless access point. And this is actually one of my wireless access points for this video. You can see all the little devices that are attached to the one access point. And now to take that a little further, let's say you're only interested in looking at one device. So if you know the device's MAC address, you can search for that one MAC address. And there you go. And then you get information on just that one computer, what that one computer's been up to. So say you had searched for all the devices that went to one access point, but you can now request just the one, keep an eye on that one, and see if it's joining other networks or trying to join other networks. That would be shown here. That's pretty cool. All right. So let's say you have a lot of different physical hardware attached to your laptop or desktop or whatever, and you have a whole bunch of those different devices, and you want to know which ones have which interface, and how many of them are actually working, basically. So here we have the RTL ADSB has detected 17 devices, and the 802.11 has detected 2,578. So just these two pieces of information there, that one and that one, could be pretty valuable if that's all you wanted to do is monitor the count. Maybe you had a graph of some kind showing the number of devices going up by different physical handlers. Now GPS wise, you can I'll just show the this one, the one that makes the most sense. So if you have mobile Kismet wireless devices, I don't know if you're partnered up with a bunch of friends and you're all driving around and you have your vehicles connected to each other, you can query each other's locations. Or like the master controller could be somewhere and all the devices are roaming, and you can keep a kind of almost real-time look at where the devices are at that time. And that's the call right there. And again, the same cookie header. And then sources. So actually these are not device related, but you can see the different interface types attached to the laptop. Let's get the list of interfaces this way. Show all collection sources. Yep. So here's one of the Wi-Fi card and all the different channels that it's listening on, and we're going to control that in just a minute. And there's the call. Now we're going to look at closing a source. So we saw this shows us all the data sources. So that we have Wi-Fi and the ADSB one. But if I bring up this, the Kismet wireless interface, and I go to data sources, I can see here's my wireless source and all the channels it's listening on. What I'm going to do is I'm going to close it. I'm going to go ahead and close a collection source by specifying its UUID. So I got its UUID from here. You just look through the response for the UUID, and then we're going to hit close, closing source, blah blah blah, and we just wait a second. I might have to close. Let me just close that and then open this back up. There. So it's no longer listening. But then we want to reopen it. So I want to open it up by running this command. So instead of close source, we go back here, close source. We're going to do an open source. Okay, reopening that, and it's back up and running. Alright, so now I'm going to put this off to the side. Keep an eye out, keep a memory of this. Look at the way this looks. We're going to pause that source now. So I'm going to pausing source, and then we notice a little symbol shows up there, and this does change in real time. So there you go, paused. So it's not collecting anymore. And so let's resume it. There's resume source. And running again. So you can control the different cards getting turned on and off. Pausing and running. Now, say you didn't want to just completely disable that source. What if you just wanted to change the channels? So here's an example of changing the channels to 1 through 10. So I'm going to go ahead and use same UUID for that Wi-Fi card, and I'm going to use a set channel command. This has to be a www form URL encoded, and it has to have this format, JSON, and then the JSON and the value in this manner. And when you hit send, you get a success as a response and a HTTP 200, and then you see immediately the channels changed. Pretty cool. And then setting all the channels back to listen to everything. The convenient all command. I'm going to go ahead and hit that. Success. And this one does not refresh automatically. Let's go over here, open it back up. There you go. All right, so that's working. Obtaining channel usage data. You can scroll through here and see all the different channels that are being used and how often. Lots of data to look through for you to maybe graph. There we go. There's some activity. So maybe you use this information to graph it somewhere if you're using some kind of visualization system like Kibana. Alright, so let's move over to alerts. Let me just close all this stuff down. Okay. We'll go over, close it down. We'll go over to alerts, and we'll run the alerts/all alerts. And we see all these little different alerts that were recorded in the Kismet wireless sensor. If you wanted to capture those and again put them in your Elasticsearch. Okay, what alerts are defined in your Kismet sensor? Then here you go. You can run the alerts definitions.json and get that information. Okay, next we get to recent alerts. This one I believe just gives like the last minute or so of alerts. Here's those messages that show up in the same messages that show up in the console when you're logged in over here. The same messages that pop up in here, you can retrieve those. And then the messages since a certain amount of time. Okay, so I'm presetting the time to 60 seconds before, putting that timestamp in here, and then sending the command. So nothing in the last 60 seconds. So when you're importing your data into Kismet, you have to prepare the Kismet environment. So unfortunately, when the data goes from Kismet to Elasticsearch, the date fields, Kismet interprets them not as date fields, but as just numbers. So we have to prepare the Kismet environment for that. So what you do is you create a mapping, you pre-map in Elasticsearch. So this is a mappings command, and I'm basically saying, hey, if you every time hey Elasticsearch, when you see Kismet device base mod time, that's actually a date and it's an epoch second. When you see base last time, same thing. So don't treat it like an integer. Basically treat it as a date, and then Elasticsearch automatically makes it a date that you can read in the console. Makes it a lot easier to do date filters for a human when you're manipulating the data in, say, Kibana. So here I created a Kismet access points index. So I'm just pointing to Kismet access points. It's a put command, so the put is going to actually tell Kismet create this index and then give it these mappings all in one go. Same thing for devices. If you, in my case, I wanted to separate the Kismet access points and Kismet devices, and same thing with the body, the mappings. Map that out, and then for testing, every time I manipulated the data a little bit on the post commands, I had to go back, delete, refresh the mappings, and so I just created a simple delete Kismet access points and delete Kismet devices. That's it for the prep, the Elasticsearch prep work. And once you're ready to start uploading, then here's an example of recording all the access points. Okay, so you take that request, and again I don't need that. I just gotta make sure I got the set cookie. Yep. And then I have a very simple, just bulk upload that thing like that. Okay, and then I have the retrieve all access points subset and upload. And again, there you go. There we go. And then in this case, I actually used the test tab to just grab a few fields. I didn't want to upload absolutely everything. I just wanted some of the data, the name of that access point, the first time you saw it, the last time we saw something on it, the MAC address, and the manufacturer. That's it. That's what I'm parsing in here. So I'm creating that collection and then bulk uploading it. And you hit send, and it's retrieving all the data and then forwarding it up to Elasticsearch. And of course, you could have a query where it only retrieves. This could be useful, if you just wanted to retrieve the latest information. So as you're driving around, you can just query your devices if you have multiple vehicles moving, of course, or multiple sensors positioned in a place you want to target certain things. You want to retrieve that just the latest information. So you can say, give me the last 60 seconds, and then do the upload. And then a minute later, do it again, and so on. And that's it. That covers what I wanted to cover. Hopefully you found this useful. And if you liked the video, click that like button. And if I get more subscribers, I'll make more videos. Right now I'm doing basically one a month. The more subscribers I get, the more videos I'll make. So if you liked it, like it.